Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 7 of Keeping Up with Katie Joy. It's been an interesting week since last time. Last time, I don't even remember what we talked about. Pretty sure I'm just descending further and further into absolute madness. And I'm starting to have, like, fever dreams. Send help, please. So, I've got the Todd Chrisley lawsuit. So we can take a quick read through that. I also have the GoFundMe. I'm still cringing over ad homies. Fair. That's fair. I respect that. I also have the GoFundMe lawsuit. It is linked in the description as well as in the side chat if you're interested in essentially what is KJ getting some comeuppance by the looks of it. If it isn't the consequences of my actions, oh no. So, if you're interested in involving yourself in a lawsuit against Katie Joy, this would be the way to do it. So, if you want to help out, deal with, I don't know, nonsense, go ahead on over there. Let's start with the lawsuit. So I had to take screenshots, because I don't have an actual copy. So if you notice that there's like duplicates or you're seeing things a couple of times, that's because there are duplicates. But yeah, let's take a look. So this is the Todd Chrisley lawsuit. And I've seen a couple of reviews on it, and I've seen some people talking about it. Truth Sleuth spoke about it, as did Emily D. Baker. Both of them are very pessimistic, which I don't think I share that pessimism, although I see their point. Like, I see what they're getting at. They're like, I was kind of expecting a bigger bomb drop with the way this kind of escalated. But the way I've read this, of course, I'm sure they know more than I do, especially Emily, but the way I've read this is maybe it's just about what I expected. Court documents needed dark mode. That would be nice. Hey, Ziggy. Welcome. So let's read through this this lawsuit real quick like a boonie, because I think most people know the gist of it, but it's good to just have the information available and out and easily accessible. So, not that anybody who decides to be dicks about this ever actually, read or listen to it anyway, but hey, I'm here to help. I'm just here to help. Oh, you'll notice that our bar is gone right now for the donation bar. It wasn't working, so I'm gonna try and have to figure out what was going on with that and hopefully try to fix it. I'm in my pajamas right now. I can't. Get me out of here. I'm gonna be in a straitjacket next time. That's how I feel about this. All right, let's switch my live chat, so I can see. There we go. Okay, State of Minnesota, County of Wright, District Court, 4th Judicial District, case type, personal injury, Michael Todd Chrisley, plaintiff versus Catherine Mansky-Paulson and Without a Crystal Ball, LLC, defendants. To Catherine Mansky-Paulson, aka Katie Joy Paulson, you are being sued. This is the pocket service. So this is the notice, not the filing. So you're aware. That's why it doesn't have a case number or anything yet, because it's just been pocket filed. The plaintiff has started a lawsuit against you. The plaintiff's complaint against you is attached to this summons. Do not throw these papers away. They are official papers that affect your rights. You must respond to this lawsuit, even though it may not yet be filed with the court, and there may be no court file number on the summons. There you go. You must reply within 20 days to protect your rights. You must give or mail to the person who signed the summons a written response called an answer within 20 days of the date of which you received the summons. You must send a copy of your answer to the person who signed the summons located at Robbins Kaplan LLP 2800 LaSalle Plaza, 800 LaSalle Avenue, Minneapolis, Minnesota 55402. Hey, that's the Mighty Ducks. Oh, you're gonna be like that, are you? There you go. Thanks for not. Thanks. 2, Catherine. Oh, I read that part. 3, you must respond to each claim. The answer is your written response to the plaintiff's complaint. In your answer, you must state whether you agree, disagree, or with each paragraph of the complaint. If you believe the plaintiff should not be given everything asked for in the complaint, you must say so in your answer. 4, you will lose your case if you do not send a written response to the complaint to the person who signed this summons. If you do not answer within 20 days, you will lose this case. You will not get to tell your side of the story, and the court may decide against you and award the plaintiff everything asked for in the complaint. If you do not want to contest the claims stated in the complaint, you do not need to respond. A default judgment can then be entered. There's no space. I got really confused there for a second. Then be entered against you for the relief request in the complaint. Slicks asked a really good question. So what's the chances of KJ doing a Kyle? Well, chat, what do you think? 1 in the chat if you think KJ will pull a Kyle. 2 in the chat if you think she'll actually show up. I think 2. I think she would actually show up. Legal assistance. You may wish to get legal help from your lawyer. If you do not have a lawyer, the court administrator may have information about places where you can get legal assistance. Even if you cannot get legal help, you must provide a written answer to protect your rights, or you may lose the case. Snuggles makes a good point also, Snuggles makes a good point and says, I noticed the opinions that were given by Emily and others. They don't realize that the fact that Todd already deposed KJ a while back for his other case, so the testimony and timeline will be added to the evidence. I don't think that deposition is finished yet, though. He's definitely talked that she's being deposed, but I'm pretty sure that deposition is happening next month in November. So I don't think that's actually happened yet. I could be wrong though. If you know the date, I thought that hadn't taken place yet. Alternative dispute resolutions. The parties may agree to or be ordered to participate in an alternative dispute resolution process under Rule 114 of the Minnesota General Rules of Practice. You must still send your written response to the complaint even if you expect to use alternative means of resolving the dispute, dated on October 18th, 2021. So, for anybody is interested, this is dated for October 18th, 2021. And November 9th. November 9th is Kyle's court date as well, isn't it? That'd be interesting if they're both at the same time. And so here is the filing. So that was just the, hey, you've got to follow all these rules and make sure you respond with all this da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So let's go through it. Like I said, my opinion is a little bit different from some of the other people that have covered this so far. So, I mean, I'll get into that, but there are people who know better than I do. So, what the hell do I know? Why does anybody listen to me? That's actually going to be huge. It hasn't happened, but the date given already did. Ah, I see. Okay. That makes sense. Okay, state of Minnesota, County of Wright, District Court, 4th Judicial District, case type personal injury, Michael Todd Chrisley, plaintiff versus Catherine Mansky Paulson, and Without a Crystal Balls, LLC, defendant, judge and case number complaint. Those are empty because this is pocket service. Michael Todd Chrisley brings this complaint against Catherine Mansky Paulson, aka Katie Joy Paulson, and alleges as follows. Nature of the action. For 2 years, Katie Joy Paulson has... So she's got to respond to every paragraph. If she doesn't respond to each paragraph, that paragraph will stand, essentially. For 2 years, Katie Joy Paulson has made a living by broadcasting defamatory falsehoods about Michael Todd Chrisley to her thousands of social media followers. She has repeated and embroidered malicious lies about Mr. Chrisley, star of USA's popular reality TV show Chrisley Knows Best, in order to drive web traffic to her various social media platforms. That seems pretty on point. While her campaign of defamation has ranged over a variety of topics, Miss Paulson has played a key role in spreading and perpetuating a particularly vicious fiction that Mr. Chrisley attempted to extort his own daughter, threatening to release a sex tape and nude photographs of her unless she agreed to perjure herself in a criminal investigation. This allegation is unequivocally false. Mr. Chrisley never made such a threat, nor, to Mr. Chrisley's knowledge, does such a tape exist. Miss Paulson, a self-described close personal friend of Leslie Chrisley. I get it, I like that. Self-described close personal friend. Not noting that has not been acknowledged by Leslie Chrisley herself, only that KJ says that they're friends. That is a little bit of salt in here. Okay, alright. A little bit of spice, I'm here for it. I like it. Miss Paulson, a self-described close personal friend of Leslie Chrisley, has nonetheless repeated over and over again she has touted her friendship with Miss Chrisley, implying that she possesses inside knowledge of the incident in question. She has even fabricated an interview with an anonymous Chrisley Knows Best crew member corroborating it. See, that's a big claim both ways. So if KJ said that, yeah, I have a source that's on the show and then fabricated an interview, and he's saying he's not saying the interview is wrong, he's not saying somebody lied, he's saying she fabricated the interview. And that's, in lawsuits like this, in my opinion, that's pretty specific. That's pretty specific. But Miss Paulson has known this improbable and incredibly damaging allegation to be false from the start. She has repeated it to curry favor with Lindsay Chrisley, whose friendship with Miss Paulson is among the few things distinguishing Miss Paulson's social media presence from her competitors, as well as to enrich herself at Mr. Chrisley's expense. Yeah, that's fair. I think that there's a... I think that's fair. Did I say Leslie? It's Lindsay. I'm an idiot. Ignore me. Not content merely to repeat this falsehood, Miss Paulson has recently accused Mr. Chrisley of attempting to extort her as well. We covered that the other day. Actually, that is the thing we watched. We watched that, we watched the, her Instagram live. That was it. And we recently just watched her doing that, so she has certainly accused Mr. Chrisley of attempting to extort her. Colleen says, honestly, as much as I hate to say this, I think it's BS and will never make it to court, in your opinion. Yeah, that's fair. It's possible that this could be settled out of court. It hasn't been it's pocket filed, but it hasn't. It's certainly possible that this one in particular will be settled outside of court. It's certainly a possibility. She has falsely claimed to her thousands of followers that Mr. Chrisley made threats against her, and in doing so had committed the felony of extortion. So, yeah, accusing him of a felony. Mr. Chrisley will not suffer further accusations of criminality and I don't know how to say this. How do you say that? Google, tell me how to say this word. I think it's unconscionable, but I want to make sure. Because I'm stupid. And I don't trust myself.
Unconscionable.
Unconscionable. Okay, I was right. Hey, look at me go. You were just outside. Come here. Come here. Here's the ball. I got the ball. Go get the ball. Unconscionable behavior towards his own daughter. Accordingly, Mr. Chrisley brings this suit. Parties. Michael Todd Chrisley is an individual resident of Nashville, Tennessee, located in Davidson County. Catherine Mansky-Paulson, a.k.a. Katie Joy Paulson, is a resident of Hanover, Minnesota, located in Wright County. Without a Crystal Balls, LLC is a limited liability company incorporated in Minnesota under the auspice of which Miss Paulson operates and monetizes her various social media outlets. On information and belief, Miss Paulson is the sole member of Without a Crystal Ball and completely dominates its operations. Basically, it means that she's wholly responsible for. You can't separate her from Without a Crystal Ball. Colleen says, well, his daughter is the one that went on TV stating that he had blackmailed her with a sex tape, not KJ. Well, interestingly enough, KJ actually said that before it went live on TV, which would matter to this case. Miss Paulson and Without a Crystal Ball are alter egos of each other, or at the very least act in concert in committing these torts described herein. Michael Todd Chrisley, background just saying who is who. Michael Todd Chrisley is a real estate investor and star of U.S. Network's reality TV show Chrisley Knows Best. The program, now in its 9th season, follows Mr. Chrisley and his family, including his children. Lindsay Chrisley is Mr. Chrisley's eldest daughter. She played a recurring role on Chrisley Knows Best until its 5th season. At that point, the network declined to include her in future seasons of the show. Lindsay Chrisley blamed her family, and particularly her father, for her ejection from the series. As a result, she became estranged from her family and lashed out at them on social media over the following years. On October 17th, 2019, Lindsay Chrisley gave an interview on the talk show Dr. Phil. She recounted a meeting between her and her father at which Mr. Chrisley discussed criminal investigations into him and his family. In her accounts of the meeting, she denied having an affair with a state official involved in one of the investigations. She stated that Mr. Chrisley told her at the conclusion of the meeting that Chase Chrisley, her half-brother, had obtained a sex tape featuring her and a man other than her then-husband for $5,000. She agreed when asked by Dr. Phil if she viewed this as a veiled threat against her. Lindsay Chrisley's account of the meeting is inaccurate, but even taken as true, Mr. Chrisley did not threaten to release this sex tape nor naked photos of his daughter to coerce Lindsay Chrisley into lying to authorities. Mr. Chrisley did only what any father would do in this extraordinary situation: warn his daughter that someone she wrongly believed to be her friend had betrayed her trust and marketed a sex tape featuring her. Catherine Mansky-Paulson, who uses the stage name Katie Joy Paulson, has nonetheless spent the ensuing 2 years falsely claiming the opposite. Miss Paulson is an internet personality who, through her company Without a Crystal Ball, monetizes her social media presence on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Miss Paulson claims to be a close personal friend of Mr. Chrisley's daughter and frequently touts her relationship with Lindsay through her various social media outlets. I believe we had a vote in the chat earlier, like last week, when she was talking about how friendly she was with Lindsay, and nobody in the chat believed that they were actually friends. Nobody in the chat bought that shit. Excuse me. Because Miss Paulson dedicates much of the content of her social media accounts to reality television, her relationship with Lindsay Chrisley helps distinguish her from competing internet personalities with a similar focus. Yes, correct. That makes sense to me. Lindsay Chrisley's interview with Dr. Phil, since Lindsay Chrisley's interview with Dr. Phil, Miss Paulson has frequently repeated the false claim that Mr. Chrisley attempted to extort his daughter by threatening to release a sex tape and naked pictures if she refused to lie to the authorities investigating Mr. Chrisley. She has embroidered this falsehood, claiming and implying that she possessed independent corroborating evidence to bolster it. Ms. Paulson's false claims concerning Mr. Chrisley attempting to extort his daughter with a sex tape. The sex tape statements include the following. On October 19th, 2019, Miss Polson posted a now-deleted YouTube video lasting more than 45 minutes dedicated to the allegation that Mr. Chrisley attempted to extort his daughter with a sex tape. In that video, Miss Polson speculated at length that Mr. Chrisley was involved in a plot to extort his daughter. Miss Polson repeated the allegation that Chase Chrisley and possibly Todd were coercing Lindsay and Robbie. The assumption here is that Chase was, the ellipses, attempting to obtain any video or nude photo that he would have of Lindsay in an effort to have leverage over her in order to threaten her to cooperate with the investigation. In another, now deleted YouTube video from October 19th, 2019, Miss Polson claimed that somebody anonymously from the Chrisley Knows Best crew actually reached out to me to let me know they watched Lindsay Chrisley's interview on Dr. Phil and they said, "I believe her, I'm not even lying," end quote. Miss Polson goes on to again repeat that Todd Chrisley, quote, approached Lindsay and told her about nude photos and a video that her brother Chase had obtained for $5,000 and that she needed to be careful about what she said or things wouldn't end well, with the implication that the PR team might leak a story containing those nudes, photos, or that she was having an affair. So yeah, there is a little bit of confusion about when these claims actually took place. So there was the Lindsay one on Dr. Phil, but from my understanding, KJ had actually gone off about something like this before that ever aired. So. With a Georgia state official. She then proceeded to describe her interview with the anonymous Chrisley Knows Best crew member, intending to bolster this allegation. On information and belief, there was no interview with an anonymous Chrisley Knows Best crew member, and Miss Polson fabricated the whole encounter. Her deletion of this video appears to confirm as much. So this is where I think that maybe my opinion is a little bit different, because my opinion is that this whole lawsuit basically stands on this particular leg about whether or not KJ can demonstrate and prove that she actually had a source. If KJ had a source and she was able to vet it and she can prove it, she's scot-free on this. She's completely scot-free on this, because what would you, like, that now shuffles the problem down to somebody else, right? Whether it be an NDA issue or whatever. But if she can't prove it, or she fabricates something and it's shown to be fabricated, this to me is the linchpin about whether or not this case holds. Will be whether or not KJ can actually prove she had a source. If she can prove she had a source, cool. In another YouTube video dated on October 23rd, 2019, Miss Polson again repeated at length the allegations that Mr. Chrisley, quote, threatened to release sex tape if Lindsay Chrisley did not cooperate. She further stated that tweets Mr. Chrisley had posted much earlier were clearly threats that he's going to release this tape, end quote. In a January 5th, 2020 YouTube video, Miss Polson again repeated the allegation that Mr. Chrisley had attempted to extort his daughter with a sex tape. She stated, among many other similar statements, quote, who would want to read stuff from a father that is constantly saying negative things about you, and hell, threatening to release trying to buy a tape, between you and your ex because they're mad at you because you wouldn't lie to federal prosecutors according to, or federal prosecutors really into an investigation into his alleged tax evasion, end quote. Similarly, in a series of tweets dated June 25th, 2020, Ms. Paulson repeated again the falsehood that Mr. Chrisley threatened his daughter with releasing a sex tape. Ms. Paulson alluded to receiving private details or information from Lindsay Chrisley and stated with regard to the allegations that Mr. Chrisley attempted to extort his daughter with a sex tape, I believe her. So it wouldn't be that big of a deal because MAGA Forever made a good point in saying proof that the source believed the Dr. Phil interview. The thing that's in question is whether or not that source actually exists, right? So it's not about whether or not the source believed Lindsay or not, because that's kind of whatever, right? Somebody's going to believe somebody or not believe somebody. But what this lawsuit is alleging and what Todd Chrisley is alleging is that the source didn't exist and she made it up. So if that's the case, then she made up that somebody from the crew said that they believed Lindsay Chrisley to grant credence to the accusation so KJ could profit off of it, as she was saying she was friends with Lindsay at the time. I mean, she still says that, but whatever. So that's why it would matter. If it was if the source actually exists, this is bunk, right? If there is a source, if KJ actually has a source and actually talked to somebody, I don't think this gets very far. So in my opinion, this is a gamble, but it seems like a gamble to me because I don't have the information that Todd Chrisley may or may not have. Todd Chrisley might be able to prove that there is nobody that ever spoke to Katie Joy from the whole cast. He could have affidavits from his whole crew, I guess, if he really wanted to, for all I know, right? And so the crux of this comes down to whether or not the source actually exists. So if the source, not what the source actually said, right? Because if the source, because then if the source doesn't exist and she made it all up, then the source is going to say whatever she wants them to say. You see what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Hopefully that's clarified. In yet another tweet dated August 12th, 2021, Ms. Paulson falsely claimed that Lindsay Chrisley, quote, provided evidence for the alleged sex tape extortion by Todd Chrisley and Chase Chrisley, end quote. In reality, Lindsay Chrisley provided no evidence at all indicating that Todd Chrisley had attempted to extort her with a sex tape. I find it a little bit interesting that it specifies Todd and not Chase, but at the same time, I also try not to read too much into litigation when it's about one person, because this litigation isn't about Chase at all. I don't think it's offside for the second half of that sentence to exclude him, because they're not arguing for him at all. They're only talking about the accusations made about Todd, right? So I can see why that might read as a little bit suspect as to maybe Chase was doing that. But lawsuits are supposed to be very to the point. They're not. This lawsuit isn't about defending Chase, so there'd be no reason to say anything about it. And the only reason he's brought up here is because it's part of the quote. So that's my takeaway. But what do I know? On August 13th, 2021, Ms. Paulson created a Facebook post concerning the allegations that Mr. Chrisley attempted to extort his daughter with a sex tape. In that Facebook post, Ms. Paulson points to screenshots of an affidavit that made no mention of Mr. Chrisley, but Ms. Paulson nonetheless proceeded to imply that Mr. Chrisley was involved in a plot to extort his daughter by saying, quote, in a text message allegedly between Todd Chrisley and Lindsay Chrisley, Todd allegedly tells Leslie that she was worth $5,000 to her friend. He claims to have knowledge of the video. I mean, we've covered Katie Joy a couple of times. I believe we're on part 7. So we covered her a few times, and there's been a couple of times where we've, scrolled through her Twitter and taken a look to see what she's claiming about somebody, and then looked at the screenshots that she's added for the purple she's talking about. And there's been just a few times where those things did not actually connect. So she'd say that this thing and then present a screenshot that did not corroborate the thing she claimed. Right? So, take it or leave it. Take it or leave it. On August 21st, 2021, Miss Paulson made an Instagram post discussing Mr. Chrisley and referring to the allegations that Mr. Chrisley attempted to extort his daughter with a sex tape and naked pictures. She noted that Lindsay Chrisley had posted a screenshot of Todd Chrisley and Lindsay talking about a sex tape and a $5,000 price tag. The screenshot indicates that Lindsay Chrisley did not believe her father to be involved in any effort to extort her by threatening to release the sex tape. No! Her screenshot showed the opposite? Oh my god. Miss Paulson concludes the post by saying, quote, extortion is a felony, end quote, referencing the false claim that Mr. Chrisley attempted to extort his daughter. A chronic space for 2 said, boop for Puck. Yes, boop for Puck. I have little baby arms. I'll boop him when he comes over. Be good for a minute. Miss Paulson broadcast, I didn't skip anything, right? Yeah, okay. Miss Paulson broadcast the sex tape statements to many thousands of people through her various social media outlets. Oh, there he is. There he is. Boop. He's a good boy. Yes, super chats get Puck more boops. Miss Paulson knew the sex tape statements to be false when she made them, or at least acted with reckless regard as to the truth. If there was ever a statement that wrapped Katie Joy up in a nice little bow, acting with reckless disregard as to the truth it's a pretty good catchphrase. Miss Paulson knew the sex tape statements to be false based on her relationship and regular communications with Lindsay Chrisley. Moreover, the sex tape statements are so sensationalistic as to be improbable on their face. Any reasonable person would have cause to doubt the claim that a father attempted to extort his own daughter by threatening to release a sex tape and nude photographs involving her. Unicorn for $1.99 with a heart. We will boot Puck for the heart. Boop, boop, boop. MAGA Forever actually makes also a good point. Todd hasn't shown proof for 25. Correct. We're not at the point of showing proof in law yet. This is just the allegations he's making. So it'll be some time before we start seeing most of, like, the discovery, basically, is when that will happen. So, yeah, don't expect to see any proof or evidence really in the initial filings. That comes during discovery. Oh, I know. It's frustrating having to wait. So we have to wait. I think that's a fair, especially considering, like, if you take into account, the presence, where, when, and how Todd Chrisley and his family hold themselves and how they present themselves, this kind of allegation could be considered incredibly damaging when you present yourself as a what's the word I'm looking for? You're conservative religious. And people think you're extorting people and sex tapes. If your audience is conservative religious, it will harm your reputation with your audience, right? More so than it might with maybe another group, another demographic, I should say. All right. Can't wait till the KJ Netflix series without a clue. If there is a KJ Netflix series, I really hope they call me. I really hope they call me. On information and belief, Miss Paulson also knew that she had not received inside information from an anonymous Chrisley Knows Best crew member or from Lindsay Chrisley herself, corroborating the sex tape statements. I'd actually be curious to know if Todd and Lindsay have spoken about this, and if Lindsay has told Todd, like, no, I never had this conversation with this woman. Because, like, it's certainly not outside of the realm of possibility, in my opinion. Indeed, Lindsay Chrisley has testified under oath that certain of Miss Paulson's claims about receiving information from her are false. Hey, that thing I just said. Miss Paulson falsely claimed and implied otherwise in order to bolster her own credibility in repeating and elaborating on this malicious lie. The fact that Miss Paulson invented corroborating evidence further demonstrates Miss Paulson's knowledge that these sex tape statements were false. Finally, Miss Paulson removed a number of the most egregious of the sex tape statements from her various social media pages. In particular, she removed her video claiming that a Chrisley Knows Best crew member had provided an interview corroborating the sex tape statements. This again demonstrates her knowledge that the sex tape statements were false and defamatory. Ms. Paulson made these sex tape statements to strengthen her relationship with Lindsay Chrisley, who is locked in a public feud with her father and whose claimed friendship is an important feature of Miss Paulson's social media business. Ms. Paulson further made the sex tape statements because of their sensational nature, drew a large audience to her social media presence. Ms. Paulson monetized this web traffic through her company without a crystal ball. Ms. Paulson's broadcast of the sex tape statements to an audience of many thousands has spread and perpetuated this false allegation that Mr. Chrisley attempted to extort his own daughter with the release of a sex tape and nude photographs. Not content merely to claim that Mr. Chrisley attempted to extort his own daughter, Miss Paulson has recently taken to claiming that Mr. Chrisley is attempted to extort her as well. Escalating. Ooh, wow. Who'd have thought? In a series of social media posts, Miss Paulson falsely stated that in responding to her serial harassment, Mr. Chrisley had acted criminally, the Paulson extortion claims. These claims include the following. On August 6, 2021, Miss Paulson wrote on Twitter, quote, "Today we served Todd Chrisley's attorney with a cease and desist for defamation, extortion, and tortious interference, there we go, for the threats he's made over the past 3 weeks. It's against the law to threaten to destroy someone unless they provide private information. Extortion is a felony." If you go watch our last stream on this, we took a look at her Instagram live where she is talking about this. That same day, Ms. Paulson wrote a post on Instagram with a screenshot of the above tweet stating, quote, "Extortion is a felony and punishable by prison time. At this time, we have not reported to the FBI, threatening someone to hand over private information or else you will ruin them is extortion under the law is a criminal felony, we take these threats seriously as Mr. Chrisley is on bond for federal charges related to a 9-count indictment," end quote. Ms. Paulson broadcast the Paulson extortion claims to many thousands of people through her social media outlets. These allegations of criminality are false. Mr. Chrisley at no point attempted to extort Ms. Paulson, and Ms. Paulson's accusations are clearly not meant as rhetorical hyperbole. Yeah, Katie has a really bad habit of not doing a very good job of making it clear about when she's speculating or when she's stating an opinion or when she's stating something as fact or just making flat out claims. The Miss Paulson knew these statements to be false or at least acted with reckless disregard to their falsity. She, again, made these statements in an effort to drive web traffic to her various social media accounts for her own financial benefit. Count 1, defamation per se, sex tape statements. Mr. Chrisley incorporates by reference the foregoing paragraphs as it is fully set forth herein and further allegations as follows. Ms. Paulson communicated the sex tape statements to many thousands of people through her various social media outlets. Ms. Paulson's allegations that Mr. Chrisley attempted to extort his own daughter with a sex tape and nude photographs, and that he attempted to suborn perjury? I don't know what that means. To suborn perjury? What does that mean? I'm looking this word up. Suborn. Legal. Cool. To induce or produce... induce or procure to commit a unlawful act, and especially perjury, and attempt to suborn a witness. Secretly furnish or equip. Meh. Subornation of perjury. Okay, neat. Allegations are categorically false. As explained above, Miss Paulson knew the sex tape statements to be false when she made them, or at the very least acted with reckless disregard for their truth. She thus made these statements with actual malice. Miss Paulson made the sex tape statements to further her own pecuniary interests. She monetized the web traffic these sensationalized and false claims drove to her various social media platforms through her business without a crystal ball under the auspicious... I'm adding "use" into words that are not there. Auspice of which she operates her various social media accounts. I need to slow down, I'm reading too quickly. The sex tape statements accuse Mr. Chrisley of committing crimes of moral turpitude, extortion, and suborning perjury, which we just looked up. They have further harmed Mr. Chrisley in his trade as an entertainer. The sex tape statements, therefore, constitute defamation per se. The sex tape statements have caused and continue to cause Mr. Chrisley significant reputational harm, mental distress, humiliation, and embarrassment. Count 2, defamation, sex tape statements. Mr. Chrisley incorporates by reference the foregoing paragraphs as if fully set forth herein and further alleges as follows. Ms. Paulson communicated the sex tape statements to many thousands of people through her various social media outlets. Ms. Paulson's allegations that Mr. Chrisley attempted to extort his own daughter with a sex tape and nude photos, and that he attempted to suborn perjury are categorically false. As explained above, Ms. Paulson knew the sex tape statements to be false when she made them, or at the very least acted with reckless disregard for the truth. She thus made this statement with actual malice. This is a little bit repetitive because they have to cross all the T's and dot all the I's. I'm making sure to read everything just for sake of completion. Ms. Paulson made the sex tape statements to further her own why am I dumb? Pecuniary interests. She monetized the web traffic these sensationalized and false claims drove to her various social media platforms through her business without a crystal ball under auspice of which she operates her various social media accounts. Sex tape statements have caused and continue to cause Mr. Chrisley significant reputational harm, mental distress, humiliation, and embarrassment. So when it comes to defamation versus defamation per se, he doesn't have to show damages. For regular defamation, he's going to have to meet the bar of not only showing damages, but also that he's a public figure. So there's like a double thing he's gotta hit. Count 3, defamation per se, Paulson extortion claims. Mr. Chrisley incorporates by reference the foregoing paragraphs as if fully set forth herein and further alleges as follows. Ms. Paulson communicated the Paulson extortion claims to many thousands of people through her various social media outlets. Ms. Paulson allegations that Mr. Chrisley attempted to extort her and thereby committed a felony punishable by prison time are categorically false. So there's like this whole other bit, right? This whole other claim here of her saying that Todd Chrisley's extorting her now might end up causing her even more problems than what the cases kind of initially brought up, which was that she had no source and just was making shit up, which is what this is alleging. So we'll have to see. As explained above, Ms. Paulson knew that the Paulson extortion claims to be false when she made them, or at the very least acted with reckless disregard to their truth. She thus, as explained above, Ms. Paulson knew the Paulson extortion claims to be false when she made them, or at the very least acted with reckless disregard for the truth. She thus made these statements with actual malice. Ms. Paulson made the Paulson extortion claims to further her own pecuniary interests. She monetized the web traffic these sensational and false claims drove to her various social media platforms through her business without a crystal balls, under the auspice of which she operates her various social media accounts. Ms. Paulson extortion claims accuse Mr. Chrisley of committing crimes of moral turpitude, extortion, and witness tampering. Yep. The Paulson extortion claims therefore constitute defamation per se. The Paulson extortion claims have caused and continue to cause Mr. Chrisley significant reputational damage, mental distress, humiliation, and embarrassment, and defamation for the Paulson extortion claims, which is the same thing, but it's talking about defamation instead of just defamation per se. Of course, they're going to put both in. Makes sense to me. Mr. Chrisley incorporates, by reference, the foregoing paragraphs as if fully set forth herein, and further alleges as follows. Ms. Paulson communicated the Paulson extortion claims to many thousands of people through her various social media outlets. Ms. Paulson's allegations that Mr. Chrisley attempted to extort her and thereby committed a felony punishable by prison time are categorically false. As explained above, Ms. Paulson knew that the Paulson extortion claims to be false when she made them, or at the very least acted with reckless disregard for their truth. She thus made these statements with actual malice. I'm going to be repeating these in my sleep. Ms. Paulson made the Paulson extortion claims to further her own... I'm going to put that on a shirt. I'm going to put the Paulson extortion claims on a shirt. That's how I feel about this right now. Ms. Paulson made the Paulson extortion claims to further her own interest. She monetized the web traffic, sensationalized and false claims drove to her various social media platforms through her business without a crystal ball, under the auspice of which she operates her various social media accounts. Ms. Paulson made the Paulson extortion claims to further her own pecuniary interests. She monetized the... I don't know why I keep getting caught up in that word, and I think it's the font. She monetized the web traffic. These sensational and false claims drove her various social media platforms through her business without a crystal ball, under the auspice of which she operates her various social media accounts. The Paulson extortion claims accuse Mr. Chrisley of committing crimes of moral turpitude, extortion, and witness tampering. The Paulson extortion claims therefore constitute defamation per se. The Paulson extortion claims have caused and continue to cause Mr. Chrisley significant reputational harm, mental duress, humiliation, and embarrassment. Prayer for relief. Hey, now that we got through that. Woo! Pervs, which I'm pretty sure is just supposed to be short for Proverbs, says, I personally think he has receipts for all of these claims. I'm curious to see what does and does not end up showing up in Discovery, to see what gets what pops up. I don't think this is frivolous. I'll put it that way. Frivolous is not the word I would use for this lawsuit. Pray for relief. Wherefore, Mr. Chrisley prays that judgment be entered in his favor, awarding the following relief. And I'm just going to go to the next one because I have a better screenshot of it. Damages to be proved at trial, but which Mr. Chrisley reasonably believes to exceed $50,000. An injunction against Ms. Paulson's further publication of the defamatory allegations set forth herein, so she can't make those accusations about him anymore. Whatever further relief the court deems just and equitable. Acknowledgement. The undersigned acknowledges that cost, disbursements, and reasonable attorney and witness fees may be awarded to pursuant to Minnesota statute paragraph 549.211 sub 2 to the parties against whom the allegations in this pleading are asserted. And that's the end, and that is signed off. So, What do you guys think? I heard people criticizing this or being questionable about how repetitive this is, and maybe it's just because most of my coverage of the Non Sequitur Show stuff has been the same thing over and over and over again. There's a lot of repetitive paragraphs like this in all the litigation that I've seen. Now again, my experience is very limited, so what I've seen, this doesn't seem any more repetitive than like the stuff in the Non Sequitur Showcase. Maybe that's just me. I also don't think that this is everything that Todd has on Katie. Just from the amount of information that appears to have been sent to him through the subreddit, through Twitter, through clips that people have of KJ, I think this is just scratching the surface of what he has to go off of. I think that Mr. Chrisley is somebody who knows a little bit about entertainment and knows a little bit about how to keep the court of public opinion interested in what's going on, and a slow burn of information is how you do something like that. Make it dramatic, make it interesting, make it a little bit entertaining. I don't think this is frivolous. I also think that at least the second half, he's got a very solid case for. Like, there's video of her making those allegations, and so she would have to prove that her allegations against him are true, right? So if she's going to claim that he's extorting her via this lawsuit, then she has to prove that. And I don't know how she would prove that. Because it seems to be that, oh, well, he just wants to get to me because he can't get to Lindsay. But Todd has also explicitly said in podcasts that he's like, you're already sitting for depositions with Lindsay. I don't give a shit about that. That's its own thing. I'm doing this for something else because you're full of shit. So I don't know how she would defend herself from the second half, at the very least. And the first half, to me, just seems to rely on one major thing. And that one major thing is just, can KJ prove that she had a source for that agreed and knew about the Dr. Phil stuff? That she claimed she had a source that was related to the show, part of the cast. Can she prove that? Because if she can prove that, that will at least handle the first half, in my opinion. If she can prove it, it'll get her out, right? But not for the second half. It would only get her in the first half. They had us in the first half, right? Junebug says it's because they have to repeat it under every claim, each paragraph for a separate claim. Yes, exactly. Yeah, every time there's going to be like a... Let me just click back over here. So every time they have to add a count, they have to repeat everything. Yeah. He can add it daily. Yeah, he can add to this. All this is making me think of, I remember how simple the Non Sequitur Show stuff was. Like, hey, you didn't give me the money, you took the show, give me my money and give me my show. And, like, it's so simple, and it only got blown up and overly complicated because of other people involving themselves, and helping Kyle try and dodge out of stuff, and not showing up, and not file, and pretending that they're filing with the court. So, now I don't know how long this lawsuit will last. I have no idea. I also have no idea if they're going to end up settling out of court. They might. They might end up settling out of court, but... what does that look like? Right? Annette says he had to file quick because the statute of limitation was about up. I think it was, up to the day he filed. Yeah, if that's the case, then it is possible that they've made it very narrow and very short and to the point just to get the ball rolling, and then they can go from there. Court documents generally repeat the same boilerplate phrases over and over. It's designed to not vary from the position set out in previous statements of the document. Yes, correct. I'm looking forward to her deposition and his discoveries. I think it's going to ruin her in the end. I think that there's a couple of different problems when it comes to this, because, at least for KJ, in my opinion, because you make a good point, Snuggle. The depositions, she has to sit right now. She has to sit for depositions with Lindsay. That's already been decided. That's happening next month, right? Then she's going to more than likely have to sit for depositions for this case, as well as go through discovery for this case. Not to mention, this is now not her only lawsuit, because up over here, we've got Steve McRae's lawsuit against her. And in Steve McRae's lawsuit, it's possible that she's gonna go through discovery. We know that she filed a countersuit against him, so they're gonna have to go through discovery. She's not looking like she's gonna settle out of court with Steve again. So if she's not gonna settle out of court with Steve, then she's gonna have to go to court. She's probably gonna have to sit for depositions for that, and it's also like you're also gonna have to go to court and go to a jury trial. So is she gonna go to that's already 3 depositions and 2 sets of discovery, and that's not including the potential class action lawsuit that's been floating around, as well as if there's like what 3 or 4 other people that are suing her at this point, which are all gonna have to go through discovery, that are all gonna have to potentially sit for depositions. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of fucking money. So, and the thing is that if she says one thing in one deposition and then says another thing to cover one thing over here and then says something else in another deposition, she's gonna get herself in trouble. So, Junebug said that the drunken video will be added, according to Todd. Oh, the Instagram one that we covered last week. Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Yeah, and like the thing is that from my understanding is that, if I'm not mistaken, Steve had said something that KJ had brought up in the countersuit, something that he didn't even bring up in his suit that was out of date, like out of statute limitations. And so because of that, she's now bringing in stuff to current lawsuits that would have otherwise been not touched by the court. So there's a lot. The thing is that it's a lot. And it's hard to analyze, and I don't even think it's fair to analyze Mr. Chrisley's lawsuit as a standalone, because this is not a standalone situation anymore. This is like a handful of people that are all doing this all at once on this person, like onto KJ. So if you start stacking them, suddenly, even if Todd loses, he's still winning, depending on what his goal is, right? So, like, and that's not to mention whatever she continues to say, because she's not going to shut up. She's not going to. She's going to keep talking. She's going to keep getting herself into more and more deeper and deeper water. We already saw when she sent everybody all the way to, like, all those letters she sent out to everybody, right? Because she thinks that there's people in the background having conversations, trying to take her down. At least that's what she said. So, the thing is I think there's a bigger picture here, And because I think that there's a bigger picture here, I don't think I have the same criticisms, which are legitimate criticisms, of this lawsuit as I think other people did. Not that I think they're wrong. I just have a different viewpoint on it. But let's take a look at the fundraiser here, so you guys can take a look-see. So, legal proceedings against YouTuber My Truth. This is run by Steve. He created it 4 days ago. He's at 17. He's almost at 18 with a, I think that 20 is the stretch goal that he picked. So let's take a look. Oh, I know. So let's take a look real quick. Did that just change from 4 to 5? Did I just blink out of existence for a minute there? It did. Okay. I was able to catch back when I scrolled. It reset to 5 days. Okay. I had a panic attack there for a second, being like, did I just, blink out of existence? What? Okay. I have consulted with my attorneys, and they have given me specific guidance on what I can discuss when it comes to my legal action against another YouTuber, which is Katie, in order to ask for financial assistance in my legal action against this other YouTuber. While I do have some funding available, I am starting a new job next week to pay for legal expenses. It will probably be a few months at least until I am able to file in state court my complaint, ellipses, as is very much more difficult to cover legal costs now that this other YouTuber has filed a responsive countersuit against me. And even though I can show beyond any doubt that her countersuit contains objectively false allegations, ellipses, it still takes, it is still substantially going to raise the cost of my legal action against this YouTuber. Legal action that I have taken to restore my reputation and show beyond all doubt in a court of law that all of Katie Joy allegation against me are not just without evidence, merit, nor cause, but are not even in good faith and are, in fact, retaliatory in nature. I believe this case will probably take approximately $30K to $40K and will be quite a bit more drawn out if I have to fund it all myself. I have 9 more months to file in Minnesota court, and I have gone back to work to help cover legal costs. I have already spent over $8,000 of my own personal funds thus far to get this case in a written complaint and to respond to her frivolous countersuit. So if I can raise at least $10,000 to $15,000, it would be great. It would be incredibly helpful to me in my legal funding. So he's asking for half of what he, about the short amount that he thinks it's going to cost. He's asking for about half of what he thinks, basically. Unfortunately, her countersuit against me has effectively doubled my initial predictions of the cost of this case, but I do expect not to not just win punitive damage, but full legal costs as well. Raising $20K would be beyond amazing, as I also have to pay for my own expenses to fly to Minnesota, which I was fine with for jurisdiction for the trial if it is not virtual, as well as cover the cost of depositions, which will immediately follow discovery. So that's depositions and discovery for this lawsuit, and depositions and discovery for the Todd Chrisley lawsuit. That's also put, and then this countersuit that she's now doing also. So that's 5 really expensive things, and that is not including any of her other lawsuits going on with, I think, 3 or 4 other people, and then the potential class action. That's a lot. Nancy said, in my honest opinion, she thinks she is untouchable and can do whatever she wants to whomever she wants and not be held accountable. I do not feel sorry for her. And Snuggle says, Steve's case is actually pretty strong. Everything KJ claimed happened against... Sorry, the chat moved while I read that. Steve's case is actually pretty strong. Everything KJ claimed against happened to her didn't even happen from him. She will try and settle with him. She filed a countersuit. I'm not sure if she will try and settle with him. All Things Sassy said she absolutely has gotten away with everything so far. Eventually, one of these are going to take her down, and I will be there to see it happen. Well, we're going to follow them, and we're going to see what happens. If you want to help with that endeavor and whatever motivations you may or may not have, like, you know, KJ facing some consequences for her actions, feel free to donate. The link is in the live chat. It's pinned. I think it's interesting that Steve is only asking for half of the money that he's expecting to spend. I think that's interesting. I mean, not much to say about that besides I think it's interesting. I know that I think I saw a little bit of people being like, oh my god, why is he asking for money? It's like he's asking for half. He's not even asking for whole. He's not even being like, hey, listen, can you guys get me like 50K? No, he's like, this is gonna cost me a lot of money. Can you guys help offset that a little bit for me so it's easier for me to get things rolling at the very least, so things can happen easier? If you're actually curious about Steve's case, if you go and look at episode 1 and 2 of Keeping Up with Katie Joy, that might give you a little bit more of an indication of what's been publicly made known and available. All Things Sassy says the reason she has been and is being cocky is because she's gotten away with it. Yeah, she certainly has gotten away with some shenanigans, that's for sure. If you would like to support my case against this fellow YouTuber, which is Katie, to help ensure justice is done, not just for me, but for others as well. Every dollar is appreciated, and I will be having multiple thank you streams to thank donors. I thank you all for your continued support and faith that I have told the truth, continue to tell the truth, and will continue to tell the truth in perpetuity. Heart, Steve McRae. All funding will go to legal costs, transportation, filings, mailings, and or any other use I deem required to obtain justice and fair compensation. Other ways to donate is via PayPal or become a member on my YouTube channel, where I will be giving updates on the case. So I did look a little bit more at this when I did a Goblin Reads of part 4 of the blog. The blog covers a little bit more in depth about what's gone on. And also, I think Maga was also curious. There's also, if you don't want to follow a little bit too much Katie Joy Twitter, because that's a little bit, you can check out, I did other videos covering Steve's blog about what's gone on over the past, like, 2 to 3 years. And so not all of that, some of that would be outside of the statute of limitation, but it appears that in her countersuit, from context clues, that she's bringing some of the stuff up that would be out of statute, so that's also getting put in. So if you're looking for more history about what's gone on, that's all on my channel. You can go and find that. I have a playlist for Katie Joy stuff, so they'll be in that playlist. So if you check the playlist, you can find them in there. Just to make life easier for you, so you don't have to try and like research all this. Links are also all there. There's screenshots all over the place, so you don't have to worry too much. But also do your own research. Todd Chrisley said he is throwing money at the wall doing this, but it's doing it to take her down, so I don't think he will stop till it happens. It could be the case. It could be the case. I would love to interview Mr. Chrisley about this sometime. I've interviewed a few people that have had dealings with Katie in the past, and so I think it'd be really interesting to, once this is, like, I'm not going to talk to him during, right, like, I've never spoken to the guy, but I would love to reach out to him and have, like, a one-on-one conversation about this and sort of what he was thinking and how he decided to go about this, but not until after the case is over, obviously. You don't want it, you don't interview about your legal strategies during the case, right? But yeah, hopefully this goes well. Lots of donate. Damn, there's a $500 anonymous donation. Jeez. Yeah, if you wanna help out and you wanna see some comeuppance and some baby rage and some consequences. Oh no, if it isn't the consequences of my actions. Imagine that. Yeah, no, that's fair, Maga. Definitely take your time and read over. If you're interested, read over. And if you're not interested, it's nobody's gonna. It's okay. You don't have to care. It's fine. It's all good. But yeah, if you check out my Katie Joy playlist, most of the information is in there for you. And also for anybody else who's just following and just catching up, if anybody wants to know more about the Steve case, go check out my Katie Joy playlist. I am looking forward to cover, because I will also cover that when it goes live. As soon as I get if I get my hands on the suit and the countersuit from Steve, I will cover them here, and then maybe we don't have to speculate so much, and we can actually look at what's in that paperwork, because I want to have it, and I want to give it to you. So I know Steve was talking to his lawyers about potentially making that available, and that he said he would give it to me if I get it, and I'm excited. Give it to me. But I will certainly offer that back to you guys as soon as it is made available to me to do so. So make sure to like, subscribe, become a member if you're interested, if you want to join the Discord. We have lots of conversations in there about all kinds of shenanigans. Stop whining at me. I didn't do anything to you. Rude. If you want to support what I do, there is Patreon. There's also a store if you're interested, which I always forget to plug. So if you want like a Goblin t-shirt, there's Goblin t-shirts. Don't buy anything in black, because for whatever reason, it looks like on the printout like that the black's gonna work, but the black does not work. So if you see anything in black, it's a trap. Don't buy any of the stuff that's in black. But no, be hesitant. That's good. Be hesitant. This is going to be a long-running situation. Like Steve said in this GoFundMe, this is going to be he's got 9 months to file. So, but I think it will be beneficial to him. I think it'll be beneficial to you guys, and I think it'll be beneficial to everybody involved if we can, if I get a hold of that and I can get that out to you guys, because I think you guys should be privy as much as you can be for what's going on, especially if you're going to be dropping some coinage on it. But, LG says, I don't care what he wins as long as defending this takes KJ broke. That could be another strategy. So that's a strategy, like, KJ could be using that strategy against Steve with the countersuit. Todd could be using it against KJ in his suit. I don't know. I don't know what their strategies are, but it is certainly not an unknown or uncommon strategy to try to run your opponent out of money. That is a thing that happens, and right now, the cards are very much stacked against Katie between Steve and Todd and the other lawsuits she's got going on, and the more money Steve gets to help him out, the more that's gonna hit KJ, because that's gonna be rough. Steve should offer, if he wins, everyone to get a certificate that says they helped take her down. That's a good idea. I like that. I'll bring that up. And maybe I can design something, because that's really funny. I don't know if he would be allowed to do that, but I might do it for you guys. I like that. Anyway, I'm going to take off. That's about everything from me. Hit the bell, and I will be back next week with whatever updates. We haven't looked at Katie's Twitter in a little while, so I'm sure we will take a look at that soon enough to see what's going on. I will also be back to look at a little bit more at my Non Sequitur Show retrospective, where I believe, I don't know which I'm going to be watching yet. I haven't decided if it's going to be KCGE or Shannon, so we'll see. And we'll see whether or not Non Sequitur Show was really being ruined by Steve, or if it was something else afoot. We already looked at KJ's if you're interested in that, and we already took a look at Jimmy Snow if you're interested in that. If you want something that is a little bit more wholesome, I did do a stream talking about Brendan Fraser and what has gone on with him, and I definitely recommend it, and it's just me gushing for an hour and a half, and I was just so happy to cover it. But Nancy, that's a good point, because before I go, that's a good point. Surprised that YouTube hasn't questioned all these lawsuits against a single YouTuber. So, we did see a tweet from Todd Chrisley saying that they are in contact with YouTube Legal right now. So that could be a whole nother problem, cherry problem on top of this pile of cherries of things that Katie Joy is currently dealing with. So we'll see what's going on. I'll be back next time. I'll see you guys tomorrow for Judgment Call over on Steve's channel, I think. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell. Thank you for the super chats today, and thank you for supporting. If you become a member, thank you for supporting by liking and sharing. Thank you for supporting by chatting. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm gonna go wash this with some Mind soap. I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.